Hi there and welcome to today's video. So for the first time we do not have a daily challenge, or sorry, the 6-week challenge as the intro, because the challenge finished yesterday. So now all the videos I'm going to make moving forward are going to be tips, tricks, bits of advice, kind of much like the videos before, but except not going to be framed by the challenge as an overall thing. Because I've done that. I put the weight on, I lost the weight, and I'm back to being very happy, a happy place, kind of my ideal weight position, and here to just crack on with things, which is great. So my goal now, my mission now, is to help as many of you guys to achieve the results you want as well. It's as simple as that. So that's the purpose of all the videos moving forward. And so yeah, today I'm going to talk to you about well, kind of a recap on something we talked about the other day, which was about sugar and sugar substitutes. I mentioned, I think it was 2 days ago, we talked about sugar versus honey versus agave nectar, or agave syrup. And last night there was a program on the BBC called Horizon, where they talked about various kinds of foods, and they did some tests against different sugars, different sugar substitutes, or different healthy sugars in inverted commas. So coconut sugar was another one, and they wanted to see how much it spiked blood sugar, so what it actually did with your insulin, how it actually affected your insulin production in your body. And interestingly enough, honey, sugar, agave, about the same. Sugar was, I think, slightly higher, I mean nominally higher than honey, which was nominally higher than agave. But the interesting thing that actually caused the most mischief was coconut sugar, which you would think, or you would guess, because it comes from a coconut, might be healthier, but no. And the scientists on the show said that the basic reason behind this is that when it comes down to it, sugar of any kind is fundamentally, structurally the same thing. So it's not going to be much difference in how it acts on your body. It's as simple as that. So don't get hung up on sugar as a debate. Don't get hung up on that, and don't get fixated on it. All sugars are essentially the same. If you have them in too much quantity or isolation, it will spike your blood sugar. If you want to avoid or reduce the spiking, then if you're going to be using added sugar to anything, make sure that you've got a good balance of carbohydrates, fats and proteins with it. Obviously sugar is carbs, but yeah, so look at the fats and the protein element of it, so that you minimize how quickly the sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream, which is what causes that spike in insulin. If it's released quickly, your insulin will spike quicker. So if, for example, if you're eating fruit, fruit tends to release it a lot slower. So if you look at a banana, it will release it a lot slower. Don't know if you can hear that. I think we have in my mum's garden, and one of the neighbours is trying to saw down a tree. Perfect timing, but that's cool. The other thing that was quite interesting on the show last night, which I am getting more and more into and behind the research on, is ultra-processed food versus whole foods and natural foods, and looking at foods on a scale of ultra-processed to not. Now, there's a book that I've been reading called Mini Habits for Weight Loss, which is really interesting. As I say, I spent a lot of time researching and trying to find out more and better ways of doing this to help you guys, and that we can then teach you and show you what to do. Now, in this book, he talks about processed and ultra-processed foods as being the ultimate demon. You know, if we look back 100 years ago, obesity as a concept really didn't exist very much. Even 30, 40 years ago, it was only really since the introduction of ultra-processed foods that's really created that problem. And the reason behind that is that they're cheaper to make. You can create stuff en masse, and they're subsidised. Cornstarch, corn syrup is heavily subsidised, certainly in the USA, which means that for the masses, it makes it a lot easier to and cheaper to buy ultra-processed food. Unfortunately, the problem with ultra-processed food is, well, there's two problems. One, it's quite calorie dense, so for the amount of weight or size of it, there's a lot of calories. But two, a lot of it has absolutely no nutritional benefit. And this was the really shocking thing, and I say shocking, not likely, from last night. Was when they were testing foods, I think they said it was a quarter or a third of all the processed food they tested, ultra-processed food, had no nutritional benefit whatsoever. So yeah, it had calories, it has some fats, but it didn't really have much protein in it. But within that, there were no micronutrients. It was basically just redundant food. So you're basically just consuming calories and that's it. And that is what's really, really bad, because your body isn't getting any of the things it needs. It isn't getting all the nutrients and things that help your body, help your biosystem, and that's really, really important, especially as you're a guy getting a bit older. You need to make sure your hormones are balanced. You need to make sure things are working as best they can. You need to reduce inflammation internally in your body, which ultra processed foods help to raise that. If you're looking at whole foods, they help to reduce inflammation. So basically it's got a whole host of good benefits in trying to avoid it. So going to be doing more research on that, going to be looking at what we actually do. I mean, within our program itself, when we move into maintenance after the 4 weeks of actually, the 4-week challenge of actually learning the behavioural side of things, the exercise side of things, and actually taking away the control of food, we look at eating lots of whole foods. On occasion you're going to have processed foods. That's just the way life is. If you're going to be living life, you will have nights where you have pizza night, maybe a KFC or something like that. People have that. That's just reality. Things happen. You can't live in a vacuum and assume you're never going to do that. However, the majority of your time, and this is why creating the right habits is important, should be spent actually focusing on trying to eat the stuff that's good for you, and finding enjoyment in that. And it's really easy to do that. So like I said, what we'll do is we'll be talking more about this in the future. And for now, I will leave you. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you on tomorrow's video.